Hey everyone, Christian here with another palm review of multiple plants of the same species. This is Licuala peltata variation Sumawangii. But if you want to shorten that, you can just call it Licuala elegans like I do, because it's just a lot easier. Because if you're discussing the plant, you just want to use less words. I find that to be easier. So again, these are like the Rica catechues, the dwarf beetle nuts. These were battered by the hurricane, and I was kind of holding off on doing a review on these until they kind of formed some leaves that were typical of the plant. As you can see here, those leaves are pretty beat up. This is not the fastest growing palm in the plant kingdom, in the palm kingdom. And it has a relation to Licuala grandis, which you can see right here. And these are very tall specimens here. These are about 6 feet of wood. This is extremely rare to see them this size, but to give you an idea, that's about 2 feet across the leaves. Maybe that's a little bit more than 2, that top one there. And then you go here, and these ones that are kind of coming back are about 3.5, and I've seen them as much as 7 feet, and they're just starting to kind of get back into their normal routine of making normal leaflets. So one thing that this palm does not really do is doesn't have any real clear trunk. This one kind of has a little bit, but they kind of stay along the ground like this. They are a beefier plant. They're not as tall. They are also more cold hardy than Licuala grandis. So you can kind of see over there one of the leaves there that's kind of forming without any splits in it, because it was not wind battered by the hurricane, because it's only made a few leaflets since then. Whoops, let's bring this back here. It hasn't only made a few leaves. It kind of had to recover. They were kind of blown down, and these leaves here were actually not even out at the time of the hurricane. So you can see there's some mechanical damage. You can see right here, kind of it goes across. That's probably from when that was in the meristem, which would be right about here, and with the crown rocking, because you have to understand these leaves are like sails. So when the wind is coming, this thing is going to be moving back and forth quite a bit. So that rocking probably caused that mechanical damage there. And it's obviously has a very fibrous, unclear trunk, and it has some armament on it, but it's not that big. I mean, you don't want to reach your hand through there. Those are actually pretty rigid. They will slice you up real nice. So the one notable thing about this plant that makes it a little bit more appeasing than, say, Licuala grandis, is that it seems to be a little easier to grow in subtropical climates. It's a little more cold hardy. It tends to succumb to less issues, and it tends to take a little bit more sun, where grandis is a little more delicate of a plant. It is quite, it does grow a little bit faster as well. And so, them being from similar areas, this is, honestly, I want to say this is from mainland Southeast Asia, where grandis is from Vanuatu and Fiji. I'm not entirely positive. I can't remember offhand. I probably should have remembered that making this vlog. I apologize. But I will either look it up and put it in the description, or if you want to Google Licuala elegans, it'll tell you where it's from. I mean, usually I know a lot of this stuff just offhand. So anyway, the great thing is that the plant's still alive even after the hurricane. These are not very hurricane-resistant plants. Obviously, with these leaves, they were not designed to withstand these sorts of, these winds. So, I'm glad that they're still with us, because these are probably 25 years old, and it'd be a shame to see them die just from, one event. So, when I said that they were cold hardy, Licuala grandis is more of a 10A plant, and Licuala elegans is probably closer to more of a 9B plant. One thing I noticed is that if you have a grandis during opening a leaf during a frost, it can kill the plant. The bud will rot, where this doesn't seem to be the problem with Licuala elegans. And it just seems to kind of handle the upper 20s pretty well without too much of a fight. And it is... It just in general, I think it might just be because of the beefier trunk that the cold doesn't get to the meristem. You might have some burn, some cold burn, around 30 degrees, but it won't look like it was torched. It'll look a little bit better than that, than a grandis will at the same temperature. So The seed of the plant, I've actually produced seedlings from these actual plants. It has a very cool flower spike. It'll start right about at the base of where the leaves come out, just below it, and it's just it's a little spike that comes out, and it doesn't branch, and it just has a whole string of seeds, and they're orange in color when they're ripe, and you just they do take a little while. If you're germinating the seed, it's the size of like a, how can I explain, like a large BB once you take the fruit off, and they can take up to 6 months to germinate. Now, if you're able to get the thin husk off that kind of encompasses the seed, you can actually cut that down to about 1 to 2 months. So that's why these they're a little bit pricier. 3-gallon plants are going to run about $30 to $35, where grandis, I see them for $20 to $25. And that's just because it takes a little bit longer for them to grow to a 3-gallon size. They seem to grow faster once they get to a larger size. So some plants, they call it, they creep and then they leap. So these plants tend to grow faster when they get bigger, like many palms do. So anyway, yeah, if you want to grow this from seed, lay it in a bed of a rich media. And excuse me, having a dry mouth here. It's hot out here. Dehydration is not a good thing. Lay it in a bed of media like orchid moss or perlite, and a closed container works best. Although you can use an open container just fine as long as you have the heat. And it's going to take a little while, but you'll start to see them kind of germinate, and they're little seed, little root. Make sure that little cotyledon, that first root that comes out, does not dry out, because it will kind of try and push itself out of the ground, and just kind of try and place it a little bit deeper in the pot. Smaller seeds you kind of want to place inside the soil a little bit, because they can easily dry out, where larger seeds will not, they won't dry out as easily, especially with larger roots. So that's kind of a rule of thumb. It doesn't always work, but that's generally not a bad way to kind of look at it. So anyway, if you guys have any more questions about Licuala elegans or Licuala peltata variation Sumawangii, which is the old name for it, I believe they use elegans now, go ahead and leave it down below, or some other Licualas. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, and you see many other palm reviews like that, and share it with your friends if you if you have other friends that are palm aficionados or enthusiasts. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see everyone next time.